Good evening. I hereby call to order the August 21st, 2017 Special Council Meeting of the City of Mayfield Heights. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. DeJohn?
Present.
Mrs. Finney?
Here.
Mr. Mano?
Here.
Mr. Mercurio?
Here.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Here.
Mrs. Snyder?
Here.
Mrs. Tressi?
Here. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. We will now move on to acceptance of the minutes of our special council meeting, which was held on July 17, 2017. Hope everyone's had the opportunity to read their minutes. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Mrs. Finney, seconded by Mrs. Sabetta. Are there any suggested changes, deletions, or amendments to these minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of approval of the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Our minutes have been approved as written. As this is a special council meeting this evening, there will be no reports of officers, committees, commissions, or boards, and we will proceed to our resolutions. If there's someone here in the audience that has an agenda item, you can come forward at the time that your item is being discussed. We'll begin with Resolution 2017-48. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Resolution number 2017-48, a resolution confirming the action of the Board of Zoning Appeals of the City of Mayfield Heights in granting to David Barr, on behalf of Madeline Helms, 5978 Edgewood Road, a 1-foot side yard variance to construct a new single-family home. Cuyahoga County Permanent Parcel Number 861-12-087. First reading.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules? Moved by Mr. Mercurio, seconded by Mr. DeJohn. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Finney?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve? Moved by Mr. Mano, seconded by Mrs. Snyder. This was case 1114 at BZA, and our home builder David Barr went before BZA on behalf of Mrs. Helms with the request for a 1-foot sideline variance. The variance was unanimously approved by BZA due to hardship. Mr. Mercurio, would you like to add anything?
That is correct. It was a unanimous approval. That lot is only 40 feet in width, so they do have an inherent hardship. The house that was there previously that had burned down, it was only, their side setback was only 2 feet 8 inches, so now they're actually moving closer to standard at 4 feet. But as you can see in the meeting minutes, there are some things that need to be brought up to code, such as width of stairwells and that kind of thing, which caused them to the necessity for the variance.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comments, discussion? Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mrs. Finney?
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes. Resolution 2017-48 has been approved. We'll move on to Resolution 2017-49. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Resolution number 2017-49, a resolution confirming the action of the Board of Zoning Appeals of the City of Mayfield Heights in granting to Anthony Howard and Candace Howard, 1105 Belrose Road, a variance to erect a board-on-board wooden fence in a side yard on a corner lot. Cuyahoga County Permanent Parcel Number 861-08-058. First reading.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules? Moved by Mrs. Finney, seconded by Mrs. Snyder. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mrs. Finney,
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta,
Yes.
Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Mano,
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn,
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio,
Yes.
Mrs. Trussy.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve? Moved by Mr. DeJohn, seconded by Mrs. Sabetta. This was case 1116, coming from BZA. And this applicant requested a variance to allow 27 feet of fence to the side yard on a corner lot. This was also unanimously approved by BZA. Mr. Mercurio, anything you would like to add?
Yeah, that is correct. The applicant's house abuts up against Ridgeberry Boulevard, and he does have 2 small children, and he's got a side door on that house, so he just wanted to ensure that that side door was enclosed within the fencing. I would also like to make a motion to amend this resolution. The current fence there is not board on board, so I'd like to just reword it so that it states the current wood fence.
Yeah, I would suggest, and we talked about this earlier, instead of saying erect a board-on-board wooden fence, that the legislation be amended to read to keep an existing wooden fence in a side yard on a corner lot, and that would entail amending the caption as well as the first whereas clause and the first section. So that is your motion to amend, correct?
That is correct.
So we have a motion to amend Resolution 2017-49. Is there a second? Moved by Mrs. Finney. Roll call on the motion to amend?
Mr. Mercurio,
Yes.
Mrs. Finney,
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta,
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn,
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Mano,
Yes.
Mrs. Trussy.
Yes. And we need a motion to approve.
We have
As
the
a-
motion,
we have the
now we need just a roll call on
Ro-
approval.
Roll call on the motion to approve. Roll call on approval.
Mrs. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn,
Yes.
Mr. Mano,
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio,
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta,
Yes.
Mrs. Finney,
Yes.
Mrs. Trussy.
Yes. Resolution 2017-49 has been approved as amended. We'll now move on to Resolution 2017-50. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Resolution number 2017-50, a resolution confirming the action of the Board of Zoning Appeals of the City of Mayfield Heights in denying to Dan Bertkey, Archer Sign Company, on behalf of Wendy's, 1374 Psalm Center Road, a variance to place a sign on the north elevation exceeding the permitted 6 square feet. Cuyahoga County Permanent Parcel Number 862-16-030. First reading.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules? Moved by Mr. Mano, seconded by Mrs. Sabetta. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mrs. Sabetta,
Yes.
Mr. Mano,
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio,
Yes.
Mrs. Finney,
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn,
Yes.
Mrs. Trussy.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move.
Moved by Mr. DeJohn, seconded by Mrs. Snyder. The applicant, Dan Berkey, came before BZA on behalf of Wendy's and in case 1115 requested a variance to erect a sign on the north side of the Wendy's building on Psalm Center. The variance was unanimously denied by BZA. Mr. Mercurio, would you like to add anything to this resolution?
Just that they have a monument sign and a sign on the front of the building, so we felt that that was plenty of visibility, and there was no need for the sign to exceed the 6 square feet that's allotted.
Any discussion? If you're in agreement with the vote of BZA in denying the variance, you will vote yes. If you feel you would like to reverse or modify the BZA vote, you will vote no. Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mr. Mano,
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio,
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn,
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta,
Yes.
Mrs. Finney,
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder,
Yes.
Mrs. Trussy.
Yes. Resolution 2015-50 has been adopted. We'll move on to Resolution 2017-51.
Resolution number 2017-51, a resolution confirming the action of the Board of Zoning Appeals of the City of Mayfield Heights in denying to Dan Bertkey, Archer Sign Company, on behalf of Wendy's, 1374 Som Center Road, a variance to place a sign on the south elevation exceeding the permitted 6 square feet. Cuyahoga County Permanent Parcel Number 862-16-030. First reading.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules? Moved by Mrs. Snyder, seconded by Mrs. Finney. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mrs. Finney?
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve? Moved by Mr. DeJohn, seconded by Mrs. Sabetta. Again, this resolution is regarding a variance for Wendy's on Som Center. Mr. Berkey requested the variance for a sign on the south side of the building that is larger than 6 square feet permitted by our ordinance. BZA also unanimously denied this request, as there was no practical difficulty. Mr. Mercurio, would you like to add anything?
That is correct. It was the same reason as the previous resolution. The applicant is allowed to have only one sign, and that's either going to be either over the north elevation or on the south elevation. There are entrances on both sides, so whichever one he picks is fine, but he's only allowed the one.
I do have a question. I ironically, just before council meeting, drove down Som Center, and I noticed that their sign is already up on the front of the building.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, I did too. I was go through.
Yeah, it's you know, the big white Wendy letters. Mr. Jameson, will you please come forward?
I didn't notice it.
Yeah,
I drove.
I just left the shopping center and said, wait a minute, aren't we approving this tonight? And that big white Wendy sign is up there with a red, it has a whole new red,
That is a temporary sign. They wanted to have the advertisement up there. They got a permit for it. It complies.
so that red section that looks like an upside down L, that's up there, and then on top of that, it says Wendy's in white.
Yeah.
That's all temporary? That big
That's
red?
all. That's just to, yeah,
Because I know that if you look online at their new design,
yeah.
that is one of their new designs all over the US, to put that red, whatever it is.
The Wendy's face?
It's not the Wendy's face. It's a large, is Mr. Bertkey here? Would you like to step forward, please, at the podium? State your name and address for the record.
Hi, Dan Berkey, Archer Sign, 1917 Henry Avenue, Southwest Canton, Ohio. The red part you're talking about is actually part of the building design. It's not part of the signage. So that would have been approved underneath the building permit for building to building. When I talked to Mr. Jameson about the permit for just the letters, he agreed that it was approved because we were allowed at least one sign on the building, and we were within code with just putting up the Wendy's letters. And they wanted to get something up before we came to the variance meeting, and that's why we're here asking just for the variance on the rest of the signage.
And the red part that is up, I mean, it's really quite massive. That is, it was approved by the Architectural Review Board as part of the design for the building. Wait, can you just speak into the microphone? I know I was,
That- And then they asked to put a plain white fence up until they got their approvals for whatever sign they can put up.
so that white sign that says Wendy's is coming down?
Supposed to stay. I'm under the impression it was permanent, it's gonna stay, because we're allowed one sign on the building with the letters. That's what I'm under the impression of.
But isn't the front sign facing east? Isn't that gonna be Wendy's with this little face?
We're gonna add the face if it's approved tonight, it's part of one of the variances.
So it was temporary, permanent, not the face.
Temporary and permanent, that's new.
They got, yeah.
That's new, we'll have to think about that.
They have a
Temporary and
permit
permanent.
For the plain white
Wendy Face.
Wendy herself. I'll add it on.
And I noticed that Wendy is 6 colors.
Wendy is 6 colors. I counted every freckle I told them.
Okay, well, we won't go there, but thank you for doing all that extra work, counting those freckles. Okay, thank you, Mr. Burkett. I appreciate it. I was just a little surprised to see the sign up before it came to council. Not that that's unusual, but you never know. Okay, is there any other discussion or comments? Mr. DeJohn, you look like you're contemplating a comment.
I am. So does this sign currently fit under our Mayfield corridor standards as approved by the Architectural Board of Review?
I always explain to you, Mr. Jameson, you should sit in the front row. Wait, please speak into that microphone. I know a few women last week told me that they can never hear anyone at the podium.
Here I am. Can you hear me loud and clear?
I can hear you loud and clear.
The sign for Wendy's, you have an existing building, so signage is accessory to a building, a new building, or as far as our new standards go for design. I mean, you can't just implement signage on an existing building.
You can't? Mr. DeJohn?
So then the Mayfield corridor standards don't apply to Wendy's because that's an existing
Oh, they
building.
don't apply to
is
the
it?
sign.
Doesn't
Don't
apply to the sign. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So then, the Architectural Board of Review now approves signs, but they didn't
No.
before, is the way I understood it, but they are now?
Only when we have a situation where we're looking at a completely new building.
Correct, but they approved this sign.
They did not. I approved them.
Did I not just hear that up there, or? That the
The
Architectural Board
Architecture
of Review approved
Board
it?
approved the aesthetics of the building.
Okay.
They approved the storefront.
And is the aesthetics part of the signage?
No,
No?
no, it isn't.
Okay.
I mean, follow my trend of thought here. If you're, any one of these storefronts on Mayfield and Sound, the idea is to, I don't see how you can take an existing building and try to plug in the sign, design part.
The new standards, you're saying?
Yeah, I don't see it. I think it's for a new building, and, I mean, you can't do the accessories if you don't have the building new. So everywhere on Mayfield and Sound, if that were the case, would have to, adhere to the design standards for signs, existing buildings, like, I mean, if you read that through, it's designed for new construction. Designed for a new building. And I don't think the intent was to take design requirements at random. I think you need a whole project. Zoning Architecture Review Board would approve a new building, and they would, take a look at, approve the signage, and make sure that it blended in with the design of the building.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Mano?
do you anticipate any new buildings going up on Som Center Road? Commercial buildings?
You never know.
You never know. So what we're saying here is that this new ordinance that we have is virtually useless up there because you're dealing with existing buildings. To me, that makes no sense.
Well,
If a tenant change in a building, if a building gets repurposed for whatever reason, then the new standards should apply. I mean, to me, that's common sense. The way you're explaining it, there's nobody gonna build a new building on Sam Center Road unless they tear a building down, and I don't see that happening in the
well,
near
there's
future.
guidelines for existing buildings in there too, if you read it. There's guidelines for existing buildings. We went through that with Golden Gate and, Chick-fil-A. They're approving the signage on Chick-fil-A because it goes with all the architecture of the new building. Now, this is I base my opinion on reading the standards and the guidelines. So, it's my opinion, and that's the way I went with it. Now, if you think that's different, you know, we can have the law director take a look at it.
Madam President, if I could.
Mayor?
Well, during the joint meetings of all the commissions, it was agreed on what could be enforced on redevelopment and, obviously, what would be enforced on new development, which would be the whole manual could be enforced. But all the commissions agreed that it was not practical to try and piecemeal parts of the standard in, like setbacks, for instance, parking in the rear of the building. You couldn't force someone who's refacing a building into the strict standards and guidelines that are in the manual. So that was agreed on by the Joint Commission, that we would take each case, each commission would take each case by case, and see what was practical to implement in each building.
In the architecture review board, they didn't feel it was necessary to have them look at the sign. They approved it and left the signage up to us.
I do have one more question. I'm just looking at your site plan. So I see where the red, whatever you call that facade is, and then quality is our recipe. Is that sign going up also? Mr. Berkey, I'm sorry, you need to step back at the microphone. My apologies.
We would like for it to go back up, but if it
That's a
does not-
second sign on the front of the building?
If it does not fit within the square footage and it does not fit within the code, we're okay just leaving the Wendy's and getting just the face logo approved.
Council President, the signage is based on the square footage.
Right, that's
And
correct.
You could have multiple signs on the front of a building as long as it doesn't
Exceeds
exceed
6,
what you're permitted. Well, that's on the side. On the front,
yeah, it's on the front.
on the front
6
side,
is on the side.
that, they could have 2 times the entire linear footage of the building. So if it's 40 feet, for example, you could have 80 square feet. And if you're set back farther than the center, you could have even more. So, in any way, shape, or form, that can be approved.
So have they been approved for quality is our recipe? Has that been approved?
They haven't submitted it. But they would be.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments, Mr. DeJohn?
And that's your approval then, Mr. Jameson? So would it come to you and you approve that?
I would, when they submit, depending on the outcome of the variances, I will approve it, and the mayor will sign, we'll both sign off on it. That's what the ordinance reads.
Thank you.
Does any other member of council have something to add? So if you are in agreement with the vote of BZA in denying the variance, you will vote yes. If you feel you want to reverse or modify that BZA vote, you will vote no. Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mrs. Finney,
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta,
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Mano,
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn,
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio,
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi.
Yes. Resolution 2017-51 has been approved. We will now move on to Resolution 2017-52. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Resolution number 2017-52, a resolution confirming the action of the Board of Zoning Appeals of the City of Mayfield Heights in granting to Dan Bertkey Archer Sign Company on behalf of Wendy's, 1374 Som Center Road, a variance to include 6 colors on the sign on the east elevation of the building. Cuyahoga County Permanent Parcel Number 862-16-030, first reading.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules? Moved by Mrs. Snyder, seconded by Mrs. Finney. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mr. Mercurio,
Yes.
Mrs. Finney,
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta,
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn,
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Mano,
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve? Moved by Mrs. Finney, seconded by Mrs. Sabetta. We have another variance request by Mr. Bertkey on behalf of Wendy's. This request is for a variance to allow 6 colors in the Wendy's logo sign on the east elevation of the building. This variance was unanimously granted by BZA, as denying the variance would have imposed a practical difficulty. Mr. Mercurio, do you have anything to add?
That is correct, unanimous approval. We just felt the sign was tastefully done. The red colors are, the 2 different red colors are very close. It's a standalone building that doesn't clash with any other signs on the building, so we approved it.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Again, if you're in agreement with the vote of BZA in granting this variance, you will vote yes. If you feel you would like to reverse or modify the BZA vote, you will vote no. Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mrs. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn,
Yes.
Mr. Mano,
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio,
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta,
Yes.
Mrs. Finney,
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi.
Yes, Resolution 2017-52 has been approved. We'll move on to Resolution 2017-53. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Resolution number 2017-53, a resolution confirming the action of the Board of Zoning Appeals of the City of Mayfield Heights in granting to Dan Bertkey Archer Sign Company on behalf of Wendy's, 1374 Som Center Road, a variance to include 6 colors on one properly sized sign located on either the north or south side elevations, the design being the same as submitted with the application. Cuyahoga County Permanent Parcel Number 862-16-030. First reading.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules? Moved by Mrs. Finney, seconded by Mrs. Snyder. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mrs. Sabetta,
Yes.
Mr. Mano,
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio,
Yes.
Mrs. Finney,
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn,
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve? Moved by Mr. Mano, seconded by Mr. Mercurio. Once again, Mr. Bertkey came before BZA, requesting a variance from section 1191.06 of the codified ordinances of the city to include 6 colors on one properly sized sign, which can be located on either the north or side elevation of the Wendy building. This request for variance was unanimously granted by BZA. Mr. Mercurio?
Pretty much the same reason as the previous resolution. Just want consistent signs throughout the property, and this variance is for the sign that will either go over the south elevation or the north elevation, whichever the applicant chooses.
Mr. DeJohn?
Mr. Murphy, why does it say properly sized sign and not a sign no more than 6 square feet, to be specific?
You wanna-
I mean, it's only
Okay,
allowed
and-
6 square feet. I mean, it's,
Okay,
that's the
so-
proper
so-
size without a variance,
All
so.
right, so I would like to amend this to say not more than 6 square feet, so there's no
That's fine. That's
no
fine.
misunderstandings.
Is, Mr. DeJohn has made a motion. Is there a second?
Second. it.
Moved by Mr. Mercurio. Roll call on the motion.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Finney?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes. We need a motion to approve Resolution 2017-53 as amended. Moved by Mrs. Finney, seconded by Mrs. Snyder.
Just trying to figure out how it should be amended
Okay.
in compliance with Mr. DeJohn's motion. But I can do that later.
So we're done. Resolution 2017-53 has been approved at,
Gotta vote.
Oh.
Need a vote.
that's what I was gonna do, that's,
Got sidetracked.
yeah. Roll call on the, motion. Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mrs. Finney?
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes. Now, Resolution 2017-53 has been approved. We will now move on to Resolution 2017-54. Mr. Murphy. Sorry, I know you're still writing.
No, that's okay. Yeah, in order to clarify a little bit too, the prior variances that were denied were for exceeding the 6 foot. So that had already been determined that it should be 6 foot. So, but it's more clear perhaps
Yeah,
to
to
say
put the
that it's
6
the
foot
proper
in.
size.
Thank you.
Resolution number 2017-54, resolution confirming the action of the Board of Zoning Appeals of the City of Mayfield Heights in granting to Dan Bertkey, Archer Sign Company, on behalf of Wendy's, 1374 Som Center Road, a variance to include 6 colors on the ground sign. Cuyahoga County Permanent Parcel Number 862-16-030. First reading.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules? Moved by Mrs. Snyder, seconded by Mrs. Sabetta. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mrs. Finney?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve? Moved by Mrs. Finney,
Second.
seconded by Mrs. Snyder. This, I believe this is the last variance for Wendy's. From this request was for a variance to include 6 colors on the ground sign. Again, this request was unanimously granted by BZA. Mr. Mercurio, would you like to add anything at all?
That is correct. This is for to have those same matching colors on the ground sign.
Okay,
Madam President.
Mr. DeJohn.
And the 6 colors, just to clarify, I only count 4. So I have red, white, blue, black.
On the,
There's 2 shades of
shades
red. You know, we talked about
shades of-
those freckles.
I see. And there is I see it now.
Flesh.
The flesh is another color.
Okay, thank
Flesh
you.
is- yeah. There are 6, for sure. Any other discussion? Again, if you're in agreement with BZA for granting this variance, you will vote yes. If you feel you would like to reverse or modify the BZA vote, you will vote no. Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mr. Mercurio?
yes.
Mrs. Finney?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes. Resolution 2017-54 has been approved. It is now 7:35 PM. We go into executive. Oh, you want to read it? Okay,
Do first, yeah.
okay. Let's read it first.
Ordinance number 2017-17, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of Cuyahoga County permanent parcel number 863-05-060 from Joseph A. Trivisano and declaring an emergency. First reading. Since this is eligible for discussion in executive session, if there are any questions about either the purchase itself or placing it on first or second or third reading, I would suggest that council immediately adjourn into executive session to discuss it.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Mr. DeJohn, seconded
Second.
by Mr. Mano. Roll call on the motion.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Finney? Mrs. Teresi?
Yes. It is now 7:37 and we will recess, we will move into executive session.